Hey church, welcome to the reading again today. I've got 3 words for us: purpose, inquire, and praise. In 1 Samuel 23, we have this beautiful story of what David does in a dark season of the soul. And he is running from King Saul. King Saul is the one who, as the king, should be saving the people in the town of Keilah, but David does that. And then in response to David saving them, they are going to turn him into Saul. Not very grateful on their behalf. But then he runs to Ziph, and what do the people there want to do? They also want to turn him into Saul. And it's not for lack of David doing good things, but he is going through a dark season of the soul. And this is something that a lot of us can relate to. Are you going through something that would be far more than just a dark night of the soul? Maybe it's a dark season of the soul and you can't even seem to get out of it. David is going through something very similar here. And I want you to see something, that when you get to verse 19 of 1 Samuel 23, David is hiding with the Ziphites, and they are going to turn him in. And in that place where people are turning on him, ratting him out even after he has helped them and saved their neighbors and all that, he writes Psalm 54. And in Psalm 54, listen to David's anticipation and gratefulness to the Lord. He says, "Save me, O God, hear my prayer. The Lord is my help. The Lord is the one who sustains me." And he says, "For he has delivered me from all of my troubles." That's what he says. He's saying the Lord has delivered me from my troubles in the past. I'm in trouble right now, and the Lord is going to save me from these troubles too. And he just says, "Lord, fill me with your power and help me to persevere." And what's David's secret to doing that? Is inquiring of the Lord. If you look back in 1 Samuel 23, what does David do 4 times? He inquires of God. He asks God, should I go to Keilah and save them? Yes. But then his men are nervous, and so he asks again, and God patiently answers the same thing again. Yes, you should go and save them. And then he does. When he's there in Keilah, he asks, he hears that Saul is actually coming to trap him in that town. And he asks God, is that rumor true? Which, by the way, is a good way of doing it. If you hear a rumor, where do you go to investigate whether or not it's true? Anyway, just a heads up how David did that. But anyways, then he asks the Lord again, are these people going to actually give me up to Saul? And God says yes. He warns him. God loves to give wisdom when his people inquire of him. Church, when we are going through a dark night of the soul, or even if you're not going through a dark night of the soul, or whether your dark night of the soul is a season of the soul, we must be people who inquire of the Lord and have such a relationship with him that we ask him questions. Lord, how would you have me handle this today? What should I do? Should I go? Should I not go? And those kinds of things. We can have that relationship with him in that place of the dark season of the soul. It is going to prepare us. And this is what he's doing for King David. He's actually preparing David to be the king that Saul wasn't. And when you are going through a dark season of the soul, God is using the circumstances there to prepare you for something in the future as well. There's purpose there, church. Don't think that God has forgotten you. He's got purpose through that. Keep on inquiring and be in a close relationship with him in that place. And then when you get to Psalm 63, what a beautiful psalm of declaration. And I want you to see 3 things that David describes the actions of his soul as being. In verse 1, he says, "My soul thirsts for you, God." It's similar to what Jesus said in Matthew 5 or 6, that blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Jesus says those people will receive from him. And in Psalm 63 verse 5, David says, "My soul will be satisfied." It reminds us of how in Luke 9, when Jesus fed the 5,000 with the fish and the bread, how they ate all they could and they were satisfied, and they were still left over. There's even more after that yet. They couldn't even take it all in. This is how we experience the Lord. Even in this dark night of the soul, we can encounter the Lord's presence, and it is so good. And people who encounter the Lord like that, they inquire of him, they have a relationship with him, they can say what David said in Psalm 63 verse 8, that my soul clings to you. In other words, we're at that place where we love the Lord so much. He has been so valuable to us. We've tasted and seen that he is good. And we are not letting go of that. We are clinging to that. We're clinging to Jesus. He is our hope. He's the anchor of our souls. And in that place, you know what David says? He says that on his bed, he thinks about God. On my bed, this is Psalm 63, verse 6. I remember you, I think of you through the watches of the night. Church, where do your thoughts go in the quiet times of the day? Not talking about when you're in church on Sunday morning or at a Bible study or even when you're officially doing your devotions, but in the quiet parts of the day, the in-between parts, or maybe when you're lying on your bed and about to fall asleep. Where do your thoughts go? Do we take our thoughts captive, like 2 Corinthians tells us? Do we put them through the filter of Philippians chapter 4? Church, we ought to be people that even in those moments, we think about the Lord and celebrate even those times with him, whether we're going through a dark night of the soul or a season of the soul, or whether we're not. This is how we should operate. We have so many good examples in today's reading of how we ought to live. Church, maybe we could just ask the Lord this question today. God, is there something you would like me to inquire of you? And you could also ask him, or continue that same sentence and ask it this way, or would you like me to declare your praises from this dark season of the soul that I'm in? And whether it is during the day or at night, do that with zeal today, church.